girls, A here. Welcome to another live of EDCQ. So, I'm going to hang out here for a minute, let some people hop on. Beautiful, gorgeous day out here. And we are going to talk one of my favorite things, knives. I love a good knife. I love a knife with history. And I have two knives here with me that not only have a good history, but they are a mystery as well. And I'm hoping that you guys will be able to help solve this. So, just going to go ahead and throw this out there. If you guys know what these knives are or have any more information on them, definitely comment below. So, I have a neighbor right down the road here from me, a buddy of ours, and he is a former military guy, served for a while, I believe retired military, and he received two knives while in service from an older gentleman who also served. And so both of these knives were from him. He served in Vietnam, and the story on them, goes back from the 70s or 80s. So we'll start out with the one that we do not think is legit. So this is the knife right here, uh, military issued. And so this is the K-bar, and it's the standard issue knife. Like if you're in the military, if you've been a part of it, you know that this knife, was released in the military. Different branches gave it out as their knife, and it was made in the 70s. I did a little research on it, and I believe it was made like 71 to 74 or something like that. Like there was a time period that a certain version of it was released. And so this one right here actually came from my neighbor's supervisor. He served in Vietnam, and he got this knife while serving in Vietnam. He purchased it, or it was issued to him. Not exactly sure there, but the problem is, so it's the correct knife. It's right. It's stamped with K-bar. I don't know if we're gonna be able to read that. It's stamped with K-bar, and it's stamped with that this one was made in New York. So looks right. Yes, World War II knife. This was in the Vietnam era. Like spot on. Absolutely right there. But here's the question. I don't know if this is gonna focus. So on this side, it's stamped U.S. Army. So all the pictures I've seen some pictures that were not stamped, and I've seen pictures that were stamped with. Okay, I don't know if my live is still going on. Hopefully it is. Sorry about that. I got a phone call. I've never gotten a phone call while I was doing a live. Hopefully we're still running. But so it's stamped right here, U.S. Army, and so we've seen them stamped with nothing, and then we've seen them. I believe I've seen pictures of them stamped with the Marine Corps or USMC or Navy, but never with U.S. Army. So does anyone know what's was there an edition that for some reason was stamped with U.S. Army? Okay, when they are issued to civilians, it does not have a stamp. So that's kind of what I thought. I kind of wondered if the branch, or not the branch, the actual like, um, I don't know what an army is called. I don't know if it's a platoon, like whatever the group of armies called. I wonder if they specifically stamped it U.S. Army here before it was given to the men to use, and women, men and women, probably men at that time. Um, but yes, so this is one we have, and he was wanting for this. My neighbor was wanting to find an actual like legit sheath for it to go in. The sheath has been long lost. I did hop on, I believe it was Amazon or Etsy, and find one that looked legit. Like I believe they were leather sheaths back then. But so there's that one, and this one is the big one though. So this one is kind of the real story here. This is in the sheath that it was given in. This one was used at the time. It's marked with the USN MK2. It's got the standard sheath that's extremely old. Stamped on the back here. Like this one is absolutely incredible, and you can tell this was put to some use. This is battle worn, literally battle worn, and it's built like a tank, like no movement at all. You know, it's marked with K-bar, USN MK2, and now this one is not stamped at all, which is kind of where the questions come in. So one side is stamped, I mean, one knife is stamped and one knife is not, and we know that this one was battle used, direct issued from the US Army, and we don't know if this one was, if this is a knockoff, if this is a civilian model that somehow got out there, or what the deal is. But the story behind this one right here, I'll keep this on camera because it looks better than I do. So the story behind this, the guy who was issued this was a Vietnamese linguist interrogator. Uh, and my neighbor met him in Okinawa, and they traded K-bars. So they traded K-bar knife, and supposedly he got it from a guy in his hometown who was a CB and used it in the Battle of Okinawa, which is pretty freaking awesome. So, you know, great story from the linguist who traded it with my buddy, but there's absolutely no way to ever verify that. Like, was it used in the Battle of Okinawa? You know, like what came of that? But what's funny is if that's a true story, the knife started out U.S. Army issued, was traded in Okinawa with a linguist, and then ended back up with my neighbor who at the time was serving in the Army. So it kind of went full circle. It was issued in the Army, made it all the way to Okinawa, was used in battle. Two guys met, they traded K-bars. The K-bar was now used by the Okinawa guy. He met up with my neighbor when he served, and so it kind of went full circle, which is pretty freaking awesome. And then you've got the scabbard, the sheath here. You know, it's a hard plastic. It feels like hard plastic. Got the metal here. Like I said, it's stamped. And then you've got this sheath that is old and grungy and has been used and loved and abused. So here's what we want to know, guys. What is the way to verify if these are period correct? Like, are these legit military issued? I believe we can almost certainly verify that the unmarked one is. Is there any way to verify if this is as well, or if this is a much later production that was, you know, kind of branded and sold, you know, by, I believe he got this over in, uh, my neighbor, I believe, got it when he was in Okinawa, I believe, is how that came about. So, could this have been something, you know, that was sold in Okinawa by, you know, like street vendors or something? Is there any way to verify that? Um, the one with Kabar has on it was on like 100 with a wood handle. Yeah. Um, so just wondering about that. And they're just freaking awesome, guys. I don't know if you've ever held a I'm sure a lot of you have probably used military issued knife, but I'm not sure if y'all have ever used it. So this one is leather wrapped. I don't know if you can see it on there, but this is actually leather wrapped. I'm not sure what's underneath the leather. That might be wood. And this one is leather wrapped as well, but just in much better condition. Um, so yeah, not sure if there's any way to tell if these are period correct. The battle worn one, the used one, has a lot of different information on it, on the handle itself, and on the butt of the knife. The other one, the numbers have been worn off if they ever were there, and like I said, we're stamped. So I will definitely get some pictures of these and add them in the comments section in case we get some people who are experts and can comment, or maybe they use these as well and know what we're looking for. As I said, this one has you can see some markings here. I'll see if I can get some good pictures of that. And yeah, I mean, my neighbor, my friend here, he got these and he was 22 years old. So he was just stoked to get some knives. You know, he's young gun, just got in the military, ready to serve, ready to do his duty. And you know, this older gentleman who had served for a while gave him these knives, and he was like, "Yes, you know, battle worn knives. Let me use them. Let me put them to work." And now, you know, 50 years later, he's wishing he had asked some questions. You know, maybe 30 years later, 30, 40 years later, but he's wishing he had asked some questions and written them down. Um, but they are going to stay in the military family. Once we're done here, I'm actually going to pass them back on to my neighbor, and these are going to his son, who is a paratrooper. So any bit of the story or more information we can give him, he would love. One thing to note here is that right there, this knife does not appear to have the same marking. So just a few differences I know. If you were to ask me, I would say this was either a much later design, you know, perhaps still military issued, but probably not the Vietnam era. And I would say that this one is probably legit Vietnam time frame. But yeah, any expertise we have out here, anything I can look for in specific, any way to verify age, definitely let me know. And if you have any good links to the sheaths, an original, you know, like time period correct sheath for this one, he definitely wants to get, you know, a sheath that looks period correct for it. Uh, yeah, I'm on the same kind of boat as you. Uh, Chesit deconstructs cardboard. Cheese It. I hope your name's Cheese It. That would be awesome. But Cheese It deconstructs cardboard. I think I'm on the same boat. I definitely think this one is accurate, period correct. You know, Vietnam knife, uh, served in the army, made it full circle back home. And if you were to ask me, this definitely could be period correct, but I'm definitely leaning more towards a much later production knife. One other thing to note, and it could just be from being used, this one is at a much steeper angle. You know, this is kind of both ends kind of taper down. This one definitely has a straight end and a tapered one, much more tapered. Again, could be from use, could be how it was used. But yeah, if you have any expertise on this, definitely let me know below. Links would be great to sheaths. Any websites or anything I can go to that would have more information on it, I would appreciate it. This is what I love about knives. They have a history. You know, knives have a history and a story, and knives have been used for thousands of years. They're a great tool to have, and they, you know, some of them are important. They have a story to tell, and we just need the story to hear so that we can pass it on, like this one right here. This story will get passed on for a very long time, and it will be loved and cherished in that family, and I'm glad I got to hold it, and I'm glad I got to share it with you guys. Show me your knives that have a story. You know, what knife do you have? And so it is Cheez It, yes. He makes cardboard guns and knives, and the Cheez It part is a very long story. Excellent. I love it. I love it. Cardboard guns. Send one my way. Or send me a cardboard knife. That'd be cool too. Do you sell them? If so, post a link. Um, but yeah, so I love it when a knife has a story. And this one has a great story. Post yours below. Doesn't have to be a military knife. What knife do you have that has a story to tell? Maybe it was used to cut something off of someone, you know, to get access to putting a tourniquet on. I don't know. Maybe it cut a seatbelt in an emergency situation. You know, maybe it cut a rope when you were climbing and got stuck. What's your story? What's your knife story? If it could talk, what would it say? And definitely links would be awesome. Scabbards, sheaths, we want one. Military period correct would be excellent. And thank you so much for being a part of this. Hopefully people wiser and smarter than me that have the experience and the knowledge can share and let us know a little more info about these beauties and where we can get a sheath for this one. So thanks for hanging out, guys. I will be back with some new content soon. Lots of gear that has come in that I'm going to be testing and reviewing, and have some cool electronics coming up. So stick around, not right now specifically, but new videos coming. Definitely check that out. I have a Boy Scout pocket knife that I found in the woods. I bet you that knife has some stories. Boy Scouts know things and do things. So that's pretty cool. A good scout knife found in the woods is always a good knife to have. Sound off below, let me know what you know, and let me know your stories. I will be back with new content soon. And remember, EDC, EDC.